Akaku, a come-live curtain call, a program of reviews, previews, interviews, and features of and or with the great art and artists on Maui and beyond. I'm Paul James Brown. Maui OnStageʻs is back in business. They opened up their first production for the public since the beginning of the pandemic last week. They are not at full capacity yet. In deference to their audience, they have designated no seating seats. They anticipate returning to full capacity in the near future. For this occasion, they chose Qui Nguyenʻs She Kills Monsters, directed by David Nagard. It's the story of Agnes Evans. The night I saw, she was played by excellent Kerrigan O'Brien. She is doubling this role with Steffi Garrett, who will be Agnes on April 29th and May 1st. Agnes is a high school English teacher who is at a crossroads in her life. She is in love with Miles, Cameron Lum, but not sure she is ready for marriage and a family. Her dead sister, Tilly, Jamie Nicole Wilcox, has left behind a booklet with a module for Dungeons and Dragons, but she has never played, and she feels a need to find out what this booklet is all about. She thinks she may be able to get closer to her sister through this module. She brings it to a young man, Chuck, Adrian DeGio, with expertise in D&D. When he sees the name Lily Evans, he is awestruck. She is apparently a D&D legend. As Lily's sister, this gives Agnes serious cred and mega props. She doesn't know what she is getting into, but she feels it must be as it is. Now, never having played Dungeons and Dragons, I was in a distinct disadvantage. Those audience members who had a familiarity with the game seemed to get things that I only got after having done some D&D research. In this game, you create your character and everyone playing does the same. You also choose your weapon and your particular character traits, including how you will dispatch your adversaries. Then these characters set off as a party on an imaginary journey in a fantastic setting over several sessions. This is called the campaign. In this show, Chuck acts as the dungeon master. He is referee and the storyteller. The party consists of Tilly, the paladin, Jamie Nicole Wilcox, Lilith, Megan Kokomo, who was in for Mija Biggie, Calliope, Kelly Wadlegger, and Agnes, who refused to take on a different name, feeling Agnes is absolutely adequate. This fit in with her perfectly average persona. The play takes place in the real world and in the fantasy world, and at times they cross over each other. The party sets off on a campaign where they are beset by animals, mythical creatures, and aberrant beings, such as the evil cheerleaders, Tina, Joanna Williams, and Gabby, Nico Lowe. These were, without a doubt, my second favorite adversaries the party had to take on. Well, I also love Farah the Fairy from Hell, another great character from Mrs. Williams. My favorite was the five-headed dragon. Steffi Garrett did a great job on that one. She was responsible for all the puppets in the show. The finale battle was truly epic. Ms. O'Brien's Agnes is lost. She is consumed by grief, anxious to move on with her life, but unsure of which way to go. Ms. O'Brien gave us an Agnes who was clear in her confusion and determined to find a way through. Her journey and discovery is funny, harrowing, ultimately revealing, and rather poignant. Ms. O'Brien was last seen intermittently as a swing in Clue. This is her first major role on Maui stages, and I look forward to her future work. As Tilly, Ms. Wilcox is strong, forceful, and direct. She embodied a warrior and a leader, and the secret her sister discovers about her adds a bit of spice to the proceedings. Megan Kokomo played Lilith, a demon queen, as a sexy, angry dominatrix who was always ready for a fight. She knew how to get anyone's face, and when we learned her secret, it was not so much shocking as, well, but of course. Ms. Wadlegger is another newcomer to the Maui stage. She has Chris Kepler's old job at Yale School, where she teaches theater arts, and her credits are quite impressive. Her dark elf Calliope handled the staff like a ninja and was there for the party all the way. Her Kelly, the real person in the game, demonstrated the fine range she possesses. John Williams Orcus is the TV-obsessed overlord of the underworld, who reluctantly joins the party on their quest. Mr. Williams' low-key delivery suited this character perfectly, demonstrating both his power and his lack of concern at once. Miles Cameron Lum is in love with Agnes, but he is also jealous and suspicious of her relationship with Chuck. Ultimately, he decides his place is with her, and he becomes a member of the party without going through the character selection process. Micah Oberg curiously didn't mention his triumphant work as Christopher in ProArt's pre-pandemic production of A Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime in his bio. About that performance, I said, quote, "I saw this show on Broadway, and I can tell you without exaggeration, Master Oberg's Christopher was better than the one I saw Tyler Lee do. Master Oberg was absolutely truthful every moment. It was a performance for the ages," unquote. As Steve in this show, he gets to die a lot and adds a spice to all of his scenes. David Nagard wasn't only the director, he also did the set design, and it was great. It works in every way. It is stylish without being overbearing. Jim Langford's projections are outstanding, providing colorful, kinetic backdrops on Mr. Nagard's highly functional set pieces. And Ricky Jones' lighting enhanced and complemented the projections and the set. Mr. Nagard's design allowed for the play to continue virtually without a pause because the set changes were accomplished with a flick of a switch. Mr. Nagard had a clear grasp of the major themes in this show and made certain they were fully explored by the actors and thus made extant for the audience. While Mr. Nguyen is no Tennessee Williams, his play takes on some serious issues and dealt with them without being too heavy-handed. There were some good laughs as well. Daniel Vickers and his assistant, Ms. Kakamo, were the fight choreographers, and they were the hardest workers in this show. I didn't count the number of fights, there were too many. But Mr. Vickers and Ms. Kakamo trained these actors well, so the fights looked fierce without threatening the well-being of the actors. There was one moment where I wondered if Ms. Kakamo had made a mistake. Ms. O'Brien came over to Ms. Kakamo's Lilith, and she backhanded her without looking and landed solidly on Ms. O'Brien's cheek with a loud slap. To her credit, if this were a mistake, Ms. O'Brien never let on. She played right through it. Kat Gregory did the costumes. There were so many standouts. Tilly's armor was perfect. Lilith's dominatrix read clearly without being lewd or obscene. The fairy Farah wore the perfect fairy outfit, so it fit this twisted evil fairy to a T. Carol Walker was the mask designer. Her mask for the Orcus was inspired. In fact, all of the masks, and there were a lot of them, were very well done. The excellent high school theater programs here on Maui are beginning to be felt on Maui adult stages. Master Oberg is a King Kekalike dramatican, and Mr. Lum and Sebastian Navarro, who was in the Monster Squad, are both Baldwin Theater Guild alums. If you know or have played Dungeons & Dragons, you will love this show. If you haven't, you will have more fun and will understand the play better if you explore the game prior to attending. But it is not absolutely necessary. As I said, I knew only the title of the game and knew nothing about it, but I enjoyed it immensely despite the lack of knowledge about the game. Mr. Nagard's direction had the actors knowing what they were doing, what they wanted, and how they were going to get it at all times throughout the show. This show continues Friday and Saturday at 7:30 p.m. and Sunday at 3 p.m. until May 1st. The first week was canceled due to concern about COVID. Tickets are available at www.mauionstage.com, or you can purchase them 90 minutes before the show's curtain. But that's Curtain Call for this week. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Paul James Brown. Ahui ho.